Welcome to the PennDOT Instructor Updates 2013. There have been some changes in the special driver programs this year. Laura Kroll has moved up to be Acting Director Safety Division Manager, and in turn, John Zimmerman has moved into her former position where he is Acting Driver Qualifications Section Manager. Dios Aruro is now Acting Special Driver Programs Manager and your primary point of contact. While Dios is new to the program, he has been with PennDOT for many years in the driver qualification section, so he is most familiar with the operation. PennDOT is also very pleased to welcome Terry Leitner as the new Administrative Assistant in Special Driver Programs. Terry is new to PennDOT but has many years of experience with the Commonwealth, most recently at PSP, and brings her excellent organizational skills, which are so important to keeping the instructor program running smoothly. The CDL self-certification process is almost complete in Pennsylvania, with most CDL drivers having complied with this federal mandate that is carried out by the states. However, there is an ongoing component of the new requirements for those drivers who have self-certified NI or NA and are required to submit a DOT physical in addition to being self-certified. As a reminder, the DOT physical requirements on the self-certification form, DL11CD, are very straightforward. If you certify as NI or NA, a DOT physical is required. If you certify as EI or EA, a DOT physical is not required. If the categories of NI or NA are selected by the driver, it is a federal requirement that PennDOT receive the DOT physical and continue to receive new and valid DOT physicals prior to the expiration date on each one. PennDOT is seeing a consistent number of CDL holders being downgraded to non-commercial licenses due to confusion over DOT physicals and its required submission. Although most school bus drivers have now self-certified to PennDOT and are in compliance with the federal requirement, downgrades are still occurring due to DOT physicals, which, while properly submitted with the self-certification, have not been updated and submitted to PennDOT prior to their expiration date. While a self-certification form, DL11CD, needs only to be submitted to PennDOT once, unless the driver changes the type of driving they're doing, a DOT physical, if required, will be submitted upon expiration each time. Note, the DOT physical medical examiner certificate shown here. It is important to know what it looks like so the correct form, if required, is sent in. Do not confuse the DOT physical with a school bus driver's physical examination form, DL704, which is still required each year for all school bus drivers in Pennsylvania, or the physical examination certificate, DL742, which all school bus drivers in Pennsylvania must still receive each year and carry with them. If you are required to have a DOT physical for non-exempt drivers, you must submit a DOT physical MEC to PennDOT and resubmit a new and valid DOT physical MEC prior to the expiration date of each subsequent DOT physical MEC. A DL704 or DL742 will not be accepted in place of a DOT physical MEC. When submitting a DOT physical to PennDOT, please be sure to check for certain important information so that the form may be properly processed in a timely fashion. All healthcare provider information must be completed, including the provider's name and medical license number, along with the issue date and expiration date of the DOT physical. If any of this information is not provided, PennDOT will be unable to process the DOT physical, and it will be sent back to the driver for completion from the doctor. This delay could jeopardize timely processing, and a downgrade could result if the driver submits the incomplete DOT physical too close to the expiration date. Legibility is an important component of the DOT physical. Since all of the information on the DOT physical must be entered into PennDOT driver's license system, the information must be readable in order for the form to be processed. Please double-check the form to be sure that all information, including dates, is legible. Forms will be returned to the driver if any information cannot be read. To help with legibility, PennDOT asks that the wallet-sized dot physical MEC be enlarged to a 5x7 so the information may more easily be deciphered. This will help reduce processing time. Be sure to check that any medical restrictions indicated on the MEC are correct, whether they are restrictions you previously had or new restrictions being added. If there is a discrepancy between the restrictions on the dot physical MEC and those on your existing CDL, delays could result while that is resolved. These are the consequences of failing to comply. You will be downgraded to a non-commercial license if you fail to submit a properly completed dot physical prior to its expiration date. If a downgrade to a non-commercial license occurs for failure to submit a dot physical prior to expiration, the CDL can be reinstated as long as PennDOT is supplied with specific information within 60 days of the downgrade date. Here is a list of the information that must be supplied for reinstatement. If a downgrade to a non-commercial license occurs, the driver may not operate a commercial motor vehicle effective immediately from the downgrade date. Drivers are notified of this via letter from PennDOT. If a driver is seeking reinstatement of their CDL within 60 days of the downgrade date and has provided the proper information to PennDOT, they are still not eligible to drive a commercial motor vehicle until they receive notice from PennDOT, usually by telephone, that their CDL has been restored. Drivers who do not seek reinstatement of their CDL within 60 days of the downgrade date must start over on a permit for the CDL and all endorsements. For school bus, this will require permits for P and S, along with 20 hours of training required for all new school bus drivers. For questions or more information regarding the new CDL law, go to PennDOT's website and click this link under Driver and Vehicle Services. This is the Commercial Driver Self-Certification Medical Examiner Certification Information Center. As you can see, there is much valuable information available. A new federal requirement coming in 2014 is the certification of medical examiners conducting DOT physicals for interstate commercial drivers. FMCSA is committed to enhancing the safety of all over-the-road drivers and is implementing the National Registry of Certified Medical Examiners. This means that all CMV drivers who are required to have DOT physicals must have that physical performed by a medical professional listed on the registry. May 21st, 2014 is the date that the National Registry of Certified Medical Examiners goes into effect. In order to be listed on the registry, these are the requirements of the medical examiners. As of May 21st, 2014 and forward, any commercial motor vehicle driver requiring a DOT physical must have it completed by a medical examiner on the registry. If you are required to have a DOT physical, the expiration date on that physical remains valid. If your physical expires after May 21st, 2014, your next physical will be required to be conducted by a medical examiner from the National Registry. You do not need to get a new DOT physical until your current physical is due to expire. Those impacted by this new requirement are drivers who have self-certified NI or NA and are required to submit a DOT physical. Drivers who have self-certified EI or EA are not required to submit a DOT physical, and they are unaffected by this. Drivers who are required to submit a DOT physical must still submit that physical to PennDOT. There is no change in this reporting requirement. PennDOT is required to record the information on the DOT physical, which will now include entering the medical examiner's national registry number for each non-exempt interstate driver. If that number is not present on the DOT physical, PennDOT will reject the certificate back to the driver. Please note that this will cause processing delays and could result in a CDL downgrade to a non-commercial license if the DOT physical expiration date is not met. All Pennsylvania school bus drivers must still submit their Pennsylvania School Bus Driver Physical Examination Form, DL 704, every year. A certified medical examiner from the National Registry is not required for the PA Physical DL 704. A certified medical examiner from the National Registry is only required if a DOT physical is required and only on the DOT physical. Visit the website for the National Registry of Certified Medical Examiners, where you can search for a medical examiner in your area. There is also more detailed information regarding this important program throughout the site. When the new CDL law went into effect, it was required that the CDL holder required to submit a DOT physical would also be required to carry a paper copy of the DOT physical MEC with them along with the other driving credentials until January 30th, 2014. FMCSA has changed this requirement and will publish a final rule requiring that the DOT physical MEC must now be carried by those who require them until January 30th, 2015. To be clear, for Pennsylvania school bus drivers, there is no change to the credentials that are required to be carried with them. Those who have been required to carry the DOT physical MEC will continue to be required to carry them along with their other credentials that have always been required. PennDOT has had a number of inquiries during the past year about railroad crossing procedures, and we felt it would be useful to review this important aspect of school bus driving. As instructors, these procedures are very valuable to your training and testing techniques. The first component of railroad crossing is upon approach. As you are driving, you should prepare to stop by ensuring you have the optimum audibility and are able to access the area around and answer these critical questions. Once the bus is stopped, be sure you follow these procedures. Looking and listening is the most vital part of crossing railroad tracks to be sure you are clear from a potential oncoming train. Keeping in mind that signal devices have been known to malfunction, it is the school bus driver's awareness that provides for the safest crossing. If there is no train, proceed across the tracks using these procedures. Keep in mind, if you are in an automatic bus, selecting the lowest gear will ensure that the bus does not shift while crossing the tracks. Multi-track crossing presents additional dangers, particularly with visibility. Be sure you are aware of the number of tracks you are crossing and any activity on all of those tracks in all directions. There are certain limited exceptions to stopping at all railroad crossings, but these are the only exceptions. Here's what's happening at PennDOT, both in the past year and in the year to come. The 2013 School Bus Safety Poster Contest was, once again, a great success. For the third year, the ceremony took place at the governor's residence in Harrisburg, and the students, teachers, and families had a great morning celebrating school bus safety with PennDOT's industry partners, including Pennsylvania State Police, Pennsylvania Association of School Business Officials, Pupil Transportation Association of Pennsylvania, and the Pennsylvania School Bus Association. Following the ceremony, everyone had an opportunity to learn about Pennsylvania history while touring the home of Governor and Mrs. Corbett, which they say belongs to all of us. Here is the information for the 2014 School Bus Safety Poster Contest. Once again, PennDOT will have an award ceremony in celebration of National School Bus Safety Week. Please encourage your schools to participate. The 2013 School Bus Driver Safety Competition was also a great success this year. The event is sponsored by the Pennsylvania School Bus Association with assistance from the Pupil Transportation Association of Pennsylvania. PennDOT provides the written examination and enjoys being a part of this event each year. We wish to congratulate our winners, your colleagues, in the various categories. Please note the requirements for recertification of instructors. These are the requirements for recertification of instructor coordinators. As always, if you have questions, the best place to start is the PennDOT website. Under Driver and Vehicle Services, there is a school bus link that takes you to much valuable information. Here is the School Bus Information Center. Most of you are familiar with it, and as you can see, this is an excellent resource. A reminder that there is a secure link just for instructors and instructor coordinators that is log on and password protected. This is where you may find news, forms, and other information specific to your needs as part of the PennDOT program. If you do not have a logon and password, send an email to the school bus unit with your instructor or instructor coordinator number, and you will be provided with access to this helpful site. This is the page for instructors and instructor coordinators.